Hello students, welcome to a session on phrase replacement. Now in this session today we will discuss some of the new pattern of phrase replacement questions that I have brought for you as samples. Now phrase replacement questions have always been a part of most of the bank exams almost every year, and we realize that currently the manner of presentation has changed slightly. So this session today will help you understand how the new pattern works and how to solve them, right? So there are 8 questions that I got for you today, and I'll read them out. First, I'll read out the directions and then I'll read out each question individually. In the process, I'll explain the errors to you. So please pay attention as I read. The questions will appear on the screen so you can have clarity on whatever I'm reading, and provided you pay attention to it. Are you ready? Here I go. Which of the following phrases 1, 2 and 3 given below each sentence should replace the phrase printed in bold letters to make the sentence grammatically correct? Now let me explain what has been asked of you. There is a sentence given, and in that sentence a part, or that means a group of words, has been highlighted. The same has been repeated in 3 options labeled Roman 1, 2 and 3. After reading, you will need to understand which of these 3 is the corrected, grammatically and logically correct part of or which serves as a correct replacement of the words which have been given to you in bold in the question sentence. I hope I am clear. Let me finish reading out this instructions for you. Choose the best option among the 5 given alternatives that reflect the correct use of phrase in the context of the grammatically correct sentence. If the sentence is correct as it is, mark 5, that is no correction required, as the answer. Fine. So let's move on to the first question in this session. Okay, so the question is there on the screen for you, and I hope you have observed that so they haven't done anything in the hostel at the weekend is the highlighted part. Now before you start deciding on which is the correct part, you need to also consider the words in the in that part which is not highlighted. Now it says all these boys told their friends, including some girls in the class, that it was a boring weekend. So essentially they are talking about some situation or an incident that relates to the past. So it was a boring weekend is a past tense clause, and keeping this in mind, we need to have that part as our correct answer, which completes the idea in the same tense and does not and brings in grammatical consistency. Fine. So part A 1 says, so they haven't had done anything in the hostel at the weekend. Now haven't had done anything actually distorts the entire structure, because it is bringing in something which does not gel or does not fit in with the previous clause. So we cannot go with 1. So they didn't do anything in the hostel at the weekend. Well, this is correct because it completes the part, because there is tense consistency. The tense is also in the past, the past tense has been used. So we understand that this can be a correct, at least part 2 is a correct part. So they don't do anything in the hostel at the weekend. This is also not correct, because here don't denotes present tense, and we cannot have a combination of past tense in one clause and present tense in the other clause. So we rule out parts 1 and 3 and go ahead with part 2. Now in which option is this reflected? Well, so only 2 is correct in option 2, makes this question correct and answers it properly. Fine. I hope things are clear to you. Let me move on to the next question now. It seems that Bharat has lost his passport again, and it is the second time that this happened, and he seems at his wit's end about what to do. Okay. Please take a look. It is the second time that this happened is the part that is in bold. Fine. Now we understand that this part is actually violating grammatical rules, because it is the second time this happened is not completely correct in terms of tense. Let's take a look at the parts 1, 2 and 3 to understand which makes it correct or which can be used as a substitute. it is the second time that this has happened. Well, this is correct because we need the present perfect tense. This has happened is in present perfect tense. Why? Well, when we realize that a situation still impacts the present tense, then we use the present perfect tense to denote the situation, and this has happened is fine. So, this makes a sentence, I mean at least this part is correct. It is the second time that this was happening. Well, it's not right because it brings in past tense, and past tense is absolutely incorrect. It distorts the idea. It is the second time that this happens. We use present tense only when it is a general idea or it is a routine and regular situation, and this is not the case. It's not as if this person keeps on losing things in a routine and regular manner. It's an incorrect presentation. So, we can happily eliminate 3 also. Only 1 is correct in choice 1 is the correct answer to this question. Please take a look at the third question as it pops up on the screen for you. We are good friends and we have been knowing each other for a very long time, starting with our school days. So, what you need to keep in mind is the phrase very long time, starting with our school days. So, there is a situation where this particular, this friendship or this association dates back to the past. Over here, as it says, our school days. Now, whenever there is a connection between the past and the present, and we understand that things started in the past but they are still around, the tense that we need to use should be the present perfect tense. Okay, outrightly, without even taking a look at the options, grammatically you should be able to understand that this is a present perfect tense situation. So, in spite of this, let us take a look at the options. The first part says we knew each other. We are good friends and we knew each other. Well, that's not right because it is past tense, and past tense is a situation where things started in the past and ended in the past and they're long forgotten. So, that's not how the situation stands. Fine, we cannot go with 1. We are knowing each other for a very long time, starting with our school days, again brings in the present participle or the present continuous tense, which has no sync or it does not gel with the idea stated about the past. So, we can eliminate this as well. We have known each other. So, as I told you, we have known, have and known is a present perfect verb expression. This is the third verb, and with have or has to represent or to denote present perfect, we always use the past participle verb. Know, knew, known. Fine. So, we have known each other. That's why this part is correct, right? Among the options, only 3 is correct. Choice 3 is the one we need to tick on. I hope things are clear to you now. Let's move on to the next question. This is the fourth question now in series for you. Geeta was appointed office secretary about a couple of years ago and has been gaining experience and proving her competence in the office since the past 2 years or so. And as we can see on the screen, since the past 2 years or so has been given to us in bold. Okay. Once more, please understand and keep in mind what I just discussed with you about the present perfect tense. Here, the sentence tells us that this particular person was appointed some time ago and has been gaining experience. So, what started in the past has been continuing and is still around. That is why the present perfect tense has been used. Now, this is one thing. The second thing is, whenever we use present perfect tense, most of the times we come across the words since and for, or the adverbs since and for. Here is where most of us make mistakes, because we take them to be words which can be used interchangeably to denote anything related to time or a time period. Well, please keep in mind, since relates to point of time and for is always about period of time. What is the difference between point of time and period of time? A point of time is that that time period where something starts, or something which is exact, like you say birth, or someone getting a job, or a particular year, or a date, or a month. For example, I have been living in this city since birth, or I have been living in this city since 2004. So when you have these specific points in time, then since has to be used. For all others which give a duration, a period, we need to use for. I have been waiting for a bus for two hours, or I have been staying in this city for 20 years. Now, so keeping these in mind, or this concept in mind, let us look at this question once more. Geeta was appointed office secretary about a couple of years ago and has been gaining experience and proving her competence in the office. Well, since for the past 2 years or so, as is given in part 1, is absolutely irrelevant and incorrect. For the past 2 years or so, this is the right one, because as I already have explained to you, for denotes period of time and 2 years is a period and not a point in time. So we can go ahead with 2. From the past 2 years ago or so is also not correct, because we do not bring in from. The preposition from is only used when we are talking about something continuing and it needs to be paired or coupled with 2. Okay, so we mark 2 as the correct answer because it says only 2 is correct, as is the case. I hope this has this has dawned on you now. So let's move on to the 5th question in this series now. Have these business people had a car in Mumbai when they were doing their garments business in the city about 4 years ago? So we have an interrogative sentence before us and it starts with have. Fine, the part that's highlighted or is given in bold also is at the very beginning. Have these business people had a car? And we need to look at this part and among the options choose that option which can be substituted for it. Have these business people have had a car? Well, that's wrong, because we are considering a situation where these people were doing business 4 years ago. That means in the past. Did these business people had a car? Well, whenever we use did in a sentence, the next verb that follows must be in the present tense, and over here did these business people had a car, had is not present tense, so we cannot consider to also. Did these business people have a car? This is the correct thing, because did over here is followed by a verb in the present tense. Have is a present tense verb, so we mark option 3 as our correct choice because it says only 3 is correct. So well, I continue with the next question. The raging fires spread through the building including all the top floors, and quickly and thankfully almost everyone should escape from the burning building by different means. Okay, so the question is right before you and the highlighted part is everyone should escape from the burning building. Okay, I'll read out the first part for you. It says everyone can escape from the burning building. Now when you look at just this part, it seems correct to you, but that's not how we are supposed to go about it. We need to look at this part in conjunction with the rest of the parts or the remaining sentence. So when we combine it with the part that is not highlighted, this does not sound correct, or it does not complete the sentence in a grammatically correct way. The raging fire spread through the building including all the top floors very quickly and thankfully almost everyone can escape from the building is not something which is grammatically correct. Okay, so because it is about a past situation and can is a present tense verb or present tense model, so we cannot go with option 1 and we eliminate it. Look at the second one now. Everyone was able to escape from the burning building. Here able to, was able to is considered as a tense of the verb could. Okay, now instead of using could, the author of the sentence has used the phrase was able to. So it means it was possible to get something done, and in this case it was possible to escape the building. Fine, so we can go ahead with marking it as correct. The third one says everyone managed to escape from the burning building. Okay, managed to over here is of essence. Now what does manage to mean? Manage to means to complete a task, albeit with some difficulty. So though the task was done, it was done with some difficulty, and here, well, it's quite likely that there was difficulty involved because the building is on fire. Fine. So both 2 and 3 parts are grammatically correct, and when when substituted there in the sentence, render the sentence grammatically fine. So we mark 3 as our answer. Both 1 and 2 are correct. Why did you stay at a hotel when you went to Vijayawada last month on business? You could stay with Subbarao, who would have gladly accommodated you. So there is a question and there is an answer. I mean, there is a furtherance to the question. Why did you stay at a hotel? And this is the question asked, and there is something presented as a possibility. Now we need to keep in mind the fact that here the author is talking about something which has already happened, and again something which did not happen in the past. That means this person visited a place and he did not stay with a person, and therefore we need to keep this in mind. Now look at the options and decide which completes or which presents this thought appropriately. You could have stayed with Subbarao. Well, this is absolutely right, because could have, when you combine with the past part, the model could, when you combine with have and the third participle, is a past model. That means it is used to hypothetically talk about something which really didn't happen. And what didn't happen over here? The stay with Subbarao did not happen. So you say you could have stayed with Subbarao. That means there was a possibility of this person staying with Subbarao, but it did not materialize. So we mark 1 as correct. Let's look at 2 and 3 also. You must stay with Subbarao. Now must is not right over here, because must states something which has to happen without fail or something which is mandatory, and it does not help us understand or link it with the past situation. You may stay with Subbarao here is a possibility in the present tense, and we cannot use this to complete the idea. So we can only go with part 1 as the correct option and mark on choice 1 as the correct answer. I hope things are clear to you. Let's move on to the final question in this session. I've lost the new mobile phone that I bought last week and am afraid I shall have left it in the restaurant where we had a party last night. Okay, so you have the question before you, the sentence before you to consider, and you can see that I shall have left it in the restaurant where we had, sorry, I shall have left it in the restaurant are the words which have been given to you in bold. Okay. I shall have left it in the restaurant is distorting the idea, so we need to change it and bring in something which renders the sentence grammatically correct. I shall have left it in the restaurant is a repetition of the same, and I just discussed it with you that it's not right. So we move on to the part 2. I ought to have left it in the restaurant. Well, please understand that the model ought is always used for some moral obligation. Okay, and there is no moral obligation over here that is under consideration. Moral obligation can be stated in this kind of an example. Parents ought to take care of their children, or children ought to respect their elders, and this is not that kind of a situation. So we cannot go with statement 2 as a suitable substitute. Let's look at 3. I must have left it in the restaurant. Over here, must, the modal verb must, means something which is very likely, which is possible or probable, and is certainly true or can certainly be true. Here we need to understand that it is a past deduction. So when there is a past deduction considered, you need to understand that we are talking about something done last week, and the author feels that the deduction that he or she is arriving at must be true. So the verb, the modal verb must needs to be brought in. I must have left it at the in the restaurant is a correct statement. Okay. So we mark option 3 as our correct answer because it says only 3 is correct, and I have already discussed it with you. Now let me give you an example with the verb, with the modal verb must. Well, I can say you have been driving the whole day. You must be tired. Now what does this tell you? It tells you that based on the situation, there is a logical or correct deduction that I have arrived at, okay, based on a past situation. What is the past situation? That you have been driving all day. So what do I conclude or deduce? That you must be very tired. So we come to the end of this session, and I hope you have understood how this question works and what all you have to consider. Please understand, grammatical concepts need to be very clear in your minds, and a correct application of them would actually ensure absolute accuracy with any such grammar question which these exams present. We have a lot of such videos on our YouTube channel timeforeducation.com. Please subscribe to them for continued guidance on the same. Thank you.